Hello. When the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service Officer, USCIS, receives your immigration petition package, the first step they do is to check whether the payment you submitted matches the correct fees required. So basically, the USCIS officer checks to ensure that the payment you submitted alongside with your forms and every other thing is exactly the correct amount for the fees due. Now, when there is incorrect fees, it leads to form rejection outrightly. So if the payment amount is incorrect, whether it's too little or even an overpayment, USCIS will reject your form outrightly. For the exact amount required, it is important to submit the exact fee amount that is required for your form to be accepted or even processed. So in this video, I will be touching on how you can avoid these delay or denial or rejection of your form. I'll also look at different payment methods and address some pertinent questions. Questions such as, how do those even residing outside the US make their payments? Can you, the petitioner, use someone else's card details? Or how many Form G-1450s, for those of you using credit card payments, how many of these forms do you need to fill when paying for multiple forms using one, two, or even three credit cards? So these, among others, are the things I will be touching on in today's video. If you have not subscribed, please press the subscription button to support Prof. Dan Tutorials YouTube channel. Share with your loved ones, colleagues, friends, those whom you know need this information. Like, subscribe, and make comments. This video by Prof. Dan Tutorials has been of enormous help to many self-petitioners who tries to do it by themselves. Okay, so let's get started. So the very first thing is, again, let's recall that when, as a self-petitioner for your EB2 NIW or the EB1A category, you need to fill the Form I-140. This form refers to as the immigration petition for alien worker. And you recall that since April 1st, 2024, the fee has been $715. Also, recall that there is an additional asylum program fee, which is compulsory. Now, this asylum program fee is also paid by self-petitioners filling form or filing for Form I-140. So you have to take note that if you pay by check or money order, you should submit the asylum program fee separately. I'm going to be touching more on how you go about all of these things later on in the video. Again, another important thing is for those people who choose to do a premium processing, those set of people, which is optional though, have to file Form I-907, which is request for premium processing service, and that on its own costs $2,805. Again, that is optional. And a pertinent question that confuses people is that, is this considered one application or multiple applications? Say, for example, you filing your Form I-140 and you also doing a premium processing. Please take note that although you are submitting two forms in this case, or maybe those in the EB1A that also fill Form ETA 9089, you fill multiple forms. However, it is still considered as one application package for your EB2 NIW. So if you are submitting multiple forms I would strongly suggest or advise you that you pay each filing fee separately. Again, we're going to take a look at all these different payment methods and answer some questions that many of my YouTube viewers have asked in comment section. So I want to ensure that this video brings clarity to you all. So now let's quickly recall back the forms, the forms and the fees required, the associated fees. Now, if you're filing your EB-2NIW, you recall that you have to fill Form I-140, which presently costs $715. And my advice is that at any point in time you want to submit your petition, for those who are self-petitioners doing it yourself, ensure you put on Google USCIS fees, and you will see the official source, which is USCIS, on what they say is the exact or the current fee. So just to be aware that you do not make any mistake, because this has caused many people's petition to be rejected and returned back to them. Again, now we already know that you as a self-petitioner, depending on how you fill the Form I-140, you will have to pay the Asylum program fee, which either is $0 pay nothing, or pay 300 or pay 600. Again, for clarity on that, watch previous videos on how to avoid rejection and delay, or Form I-140 latest fee updates, or new Form I-140 filing guide. All these videos, I have explained all of this. So please, if you haven't, kindly go there to have better understanding of these updates. And again, the I-907, which is optional for those who want to do a premium processing, which costs $2,805. Now, let's quickly touch briefly on different payment methods. And after that, I will show you samples because, again, to be beneficial to those who do not reside in the US, for example, who do not have understanding of what these different payment methods are, I'm going to explain them to you and show you samples as well. For the first one is the money order. So one payment method is referred to as money order. What's money order? So a money order is just a secure form of payment that you can purchase at various locations, especially there in the United States, such as post office or banks or outlets like Walmart or Kroger. I know the question for those outside would be outside the country, outside the United States would be, can they get the same money order? Stay tuned towards the end and I will answer all of these questions. Another form of payment is the personal check. So there are two checks, personal check or cashier's check. Again, I will explain that. Now for the personal check, you can write a personal check from your bank checking account. There is checking account, there is savings account. Take notes. Now, the funds for a personal check come directly from your checking account. Take note that a personal check can bounce if there are insufficient funds in that account. Again, another question would be, can someone issue me the check on my behalf? I'm going to answer all that. Another one we're going to look at briefly is cashier's check. What's the difference from personal check? For cashier's check, this is a check that is issued also by your bank, by a bank, guaranteeing payments because the funds are secured by the bank. So the funds comes directly from your bank account, the bank account, ensuring the recipients, in this case USCIS, that the check will not bounce. One thing about the cashier's check is that the bank guarantees the fund because you already have the fund in your account. And generally, most banks require you to have an account with them in order to issue you a cashier's check. In other words, I can walk into a bank that I have an account with and ask for cashier's check, and they can write that for me. I will show you samples. You can also do that on behalf of your friends or something. Say, for example, people that reside abroad, you know someone in the US, you can send the money to them. They can go ahead and get the cashier's check on your behalf and use that to submit your petition package. So again, I'm going to explain all of that. Another payment method is the credit card or debit card. There is a previous video which I had initially made on these I-140 payments. And in that video, I did suggest that, see, to be on the very safe side, go with a payment that you know will not bounce back or will not have consequences of rejection or something. And my recommendation is always either you go with cashier's check or money order. However, we have people that have used credit card and it's been successful if you play the game well and if you do the right thing. Now, for credit card, of course, we know that to pay by credit card, you must use a form called G-1450. And that form again, if you just put the form on Google G-1450, it will lead you to USCIS page and you will be able to download this form free of charge. Now, this form is a one page. I'm going to explain that in this video. And of course, authorization for credit card transaction, you have to ensure that the payment, the credit card payment is authorized for such transaction. Now, if you are outside the United States, you may still be able to pay by check, but it must be drawn from a US bank. Also take note that, of course, there are notable US banks that are also abroad. For example, Citibank, JP Morgan, which is Chase Bank, Bank of America, and the likes. Now, some of these banks reside abroad. If they are in your country, maybe you may be able to use their service for this payment method. However, you have to confirm if the service and the requirements in that country you live abroad, if they offer such services. All right, and finally, please take note that if you pay by check, ensure that it is payable to only one entity, and that entity is the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Don't make a mistake on that. Again, I'm going to show you samples. If you mess up with that, it can lead to rejection of your form. So now I will go to show you samples for those who do not know about these different types of payments. Again, you can get money order from different outlets. I'm going to show you some samples from two different outlets, and we're going to see a significant difference. Now, take a look at this one. This is from a particular outlet, PL Dollar. And this is a money order. And when you look at the right-hand side here, you could see 2,500 because some people do say, oh, the maximum a money order can offer you is $1,000 or half $1,000, $500, for example. But that's not usually the case. So it depends on the outlets you go to. So in this case, PL Dollar outlet is able to offer you a money order of 2,500. So when you go to this outlet, for example, I'm not advertising for any outlet, but when you go to this outlet, for example, you don't even have to pay any fee, any additional extra fee like $1, $2, $3, $4, or $5 that other outlets, collect. So 2,500. And you can say pay to the order of, then you use your pen to write this out, U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Now, this person in this case specified the form he was paying for, which was Form I-907, Premium Service. Now, 2,500. So you give them your cash or they collect the money through your cards. They give you this money order. You put the details from, in this case, the name. You also put the person's name, the person that makes the purchase. The name is there. Then you include this in your petition package you will submit to USCIS officer. So that's that on this. Let's take a look at another sample. If you look at this sample, for example, this one is Western Union, and this one was gotten from outlets like Roja, for example. And again, you can see the amounts. So in this case, for this particular outlet, the maximum they offer is 500. So in that case, no worries. All you need to do, if you need $2,805, for example, then you buy five different of these. That's going to be 500 times 5. That's 2,500. And the last one is going to be 305. That completes. So you're going to have about 6 different sheets of money order. And that makes one payment for your premium processing. If you are paying for the Form I-140 as well, true money order, which is 715, in this type of outlets, that maximum is 500. Again, you can have 2 different money order sheets. One will be maybe 500, the other one will be 215. Then that completes one payment for one form. So that's how it works. Again, it all depends on the outlets you get your money order from. You see, for these 2 different types of outlets, it's being paid to the order of U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And again, what you are paying it for is stated there. In this one, you see it's a little bit different from the earlier one I showed you. This one is asking for other things like address or, purchaser address, things like that. So again, that's that about money order. Now, let's take a look at another sample, which is cashier's check. For those who wants to use cashier's check, maybe you've not seen it before. Now, typically what happens is you go into your bank, and when you get to your bank, you tell them you need cashier's check. They ask you details about the amount or something like that. Who are you paying it to? Because they can type it out in their own end and print it out for you. You don't have to use your hand to write it out. In this case of cashier's check. So for this cashier's check, you can see this is, again, I'm going to show you 2 different examples of 2 different banks. For this particular bank, this is Wells Fargo Bank here in the United States. And you can see cashier's check. Again, you see the name of the remitter, the person that pays. The person that paid is not necessarily the person that is the owner of the petition that will be submitted. That's why I said someone can pay for you, but the name of the payer must be there. There is no contradiction. Don't say, oh, since it's my own petition package, then I should put the name of the petitioner, even though it's not the petitioner that is making the payments. Don't make that mistake. So the person that pays is going to have the person's name here. And we have the cashier's check, again, paid to the order of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the exact amount, $2,805. In this case, this is for the premium processing. And that's it. Again, let's look at a different bank institution. This one is for Chase Bank. You see how the cashier's check looks like. So in this case, they have a space for you writing the memo. Memo for what? It's for I-907 premium processing. The exact amount is already there, and the person you are paying, the institution you're paying, is already written there, and the name of the remitter is there. So you can see this for the premium processing is separate. You see another one. This one is for the Asylum program fee, $300 is separate on a separate cashier's check. And you can see another one, which is beg your pardon, do I have it there? Yeah, the last one, which is for the I-140 general filing, 715, all on different cashier's check, even though it's paid by the same person. You put all of them together, you're submitting them in your package. So these are samples that can help you. And people who reside in the US can also assist you in this. If you have someone that you trust, if you are abroad and you have someone that you trust, they can help you out with this. Another form of payments, which is the major focus of this video, is on the credit card payments. Credit card payments. Again, for credit card, one important thing is that there is a form you have to fill. I'm going to show you that form. And the form, the site of the form, you can see it on the screen, USCIS.gov/G-1450. That's the form. When you put this on your browser, you will have access to the form. Download it for free. Now, What are the important things you need to know about this credit card payments is what I'm going to share with you. If that's the only option you have for your payments. And again, those of you abroad, yes, you can use a friend's credit card or someone else's credit card. But again, I'm going to explain that to you in the course of this video. The very first thing I will touch on is use the right type of card. Not all cards are acceptable, so don't make that mistake. So you can use, take notes. It's also on that form which I will show you very soon. Visa card, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. These are the major acceptable type of cards. Now, you have to make sure that your card, the card you are using, you have to make sure it has enough money to cover the fees. Take note of this. If you haven't spent or authorized such an amount before, please try to do so. Because these are some of the, unfortunate things that happens. Say, for example, someone has a credit card. You've never authorized the card to spend something like $2,500 before, 2,500 or 3,000 or 4,000, whatever. You haven't spent that type of money before, and now you're using it for this USCIS package. There are some credit card complaints based on the company you work with that will outrightly, when they see such transaction wanting to take place, they will reject it. And when they reject it, it will not go through successfully with the USCIS, and that will lead to rejection. And there are some banks whose card you are using again that when they see that kind of transaction, they will send you a text message instantly to say, oh, are you the one authorizing this kind of payment? If you click yes at that point in time, then the payment will go through from the USCIS officer. But the question is, you do not know when the officer will want to do the transaction. So you might not be at alert when such text message will come to you. So to avoid all of this, you want to be sure that if the only option is to use credit card, make sure the exact money you want to use is authorized. There won't be any problem. They don't need to confirm anything from you. The transaction can just go successfully. So if you do that, then there won't be needs for, the rejection. Now, if the card is declined, USCIS may reject your application, most likely rejection if the card is declined, and they only try it once. So be on the safe side. Yeah, of course, the USCIS, like I said, we only attempt to process your credit card payment once, and if it fails, they will not try it again. So it's important to ensure that you have enough money in that credit card, enough money that can do the transaction, that will not be rejected, that will not bounce back, that will go successfully at once at the first try. Another important thing is, let's talk about this part, no foreign bank cards. So like I said earlier, I listed some kind of bank cards that is accepted. So USCIS cannot accept credit card issued by, take note, foreign banks. Any card that is issued by foreign banks will not be accepted. So your credit card must be issued by a US bank. That's just the meaning. Another important thing is the third-party payments, which I have briefly touched on earlier. By third party, I'm referring to, can you use someone else's credit card? Can you use your friend's credit card? Can your family member help you with it? Can you use their information, things like that? Absolutely, yes. But here are the things you should take note of. Number one, now take note. Anyone authorized to use a credit card can pay for your application, your petition, or your request. Anyone that has those type of cards mentioned. But here is the thing, be very careful. The Form G I-140 that is required to be filled for those that are using credit card, ensure that it is the card holder that fill out that form, not you, the petitioner. Ensure it is the card holder that signs it and eventually give it to you to submit with your filing. So let's look at it this way. Let's assume you are abroad in the United Kingdom, for example, and you want to submit your petition, and you do not have any other means of payment other than using credit card. And the only credit card you want to use is that of your friend that is in the US. Yes, your friend can download the form G-1450, or you send the form to your friend. Your friend can fill out the credit card information and everything electronically, print it out, sign it, scan it, and send it back to you. Something like that is possible. So, yeah, take note of that. Because for rejection notice, like I said, if your filing is rejected, USCIS will send you a notice explaining why it was rejected. Then you have the opportunity to now correct, the cause of the rejection and resubmit again. And when you want to resubmit again, if it's still by credit card, you will still have to fill another form G-1450. Now, so that is that about this aspect. Let's take a look at another important thing. So here is a snap of the form GI-14550. It's just one page, page one of one. Ensure that the page at the bottom, everything shows. So this is just half of it, which is more or less like instructions. But the most important thing is this part, the second half of that page one of your form G-1450, which again, if you look at it, is just about details of the card holder, including the given name of the person, the middle name, the family name, including the credit card billing information, the name, the middle name, the family name, including the credit card holder's billing address. You put in all that, including the credit card holder's signature. So please take notes. If your friend is assisting you, don't sign on behalf of your friend. Don't commit such fraudulent activity, just be on the safe side. Then the credit card holder's telephone number, the email address, ensure all of these things are filled correctly. The credit card number, which is important, the expiration date, and stating the credit card type. You see that? And the authorized payment amount. And here is the gist. Now, for people that are submitting and paying for different forms, like the form I-140 715, premium processing form I-907 2805, and the Asylum program fee 300 for self-petitioners, and depending on how they fill the form I-140, people do ask like, okay, do I use only one of this form GI-1450, or I have to pay them separately as well? In this case, for credit card. For that of cashier, check, or money order, we've already said you have to pay them separately. That is, you pay the 300 separately, that's one. You pay another one for the from I-140 715. You pay another one if you are using premium processing 2,805. Three different separate payments. Don't combine them together. No. However, for credit cards, the question is, can you combine them? Truth be told, we have people that have combined them together and it went successfully. The question would be, is that the right way, or should they also pay separately? My own recommendation, my own advice will be also pay them separately and use different Form GI-1450. Say, for example, I'm going to fill one Form G-1450 for if I'm paying by credit card for my Form I-140, 715. So yeah, I'm going to put $715 and I'll put the card details. That's one. If I'm doing a premium processing, $2,805, and I'm still using the credit card, I will fill another Form G-1450 and I put the amount $2,805, and that's number two. Again, compulsorily, you have to pay for the Asylum program fee. I will fill that again, $300, and that's another Form GI-1450. That's what I will advise. However, again, we have people who have used only one form, only one credit card, and they sum all the money all together, and that's the authorized payment amount. So, most importantly, make sure to sign the authorization. If it's your card, if it's someone else's card, know that the credit card must be issued by a US bank. Very important. And my advice, use one form GI-140 for each fee if you are paying by credit card. That is one form GI-140 for the I-140 filing fee, is separate from GI-140 for the I-907 premium processing fee if you are paying for that, and another one for the Asylum program fee 300 if, again, that states that's going to be my own advice. So I hope that clears the air and answer our questions. If at the time of watching this video you still need further clarity, feel free to ask questions in the YouTube section. Yes, ask questions. So now I'm just gonna take quickly some questions and I'll provide some answers to them. The first question here on the screen says, can I get a cashier's check or money order abroad for USCIS payment purpose? Say for example, you have a Chase Bank, which is a US bank, and you have that Chase Bank in the country you live abroad. So can you go about that? So what I'm gonna say is that honestly, no and yes, and it's kind of complicated. Now, one thing I'm gonna advise you is that you need to confirm if that service for the cashier check money order if it is supported by that branch in your specific country and based on the country's regulation. Also, take note that USCIS requires payment methods that are drawn from a US financial institution. So if it's not from a US financial institution, you can't do that. Then you should definitely have a checking account at a US bank for you to be able to get such a cashier's check or money order from the bank. So take note of that. So if I were you, if all of this seems complicated, just look for someone that resides in the US that you trust to help you with the transaction. Now, ensure that the check is drawn in US dollars and payable to the US Department of Homeland Security. It must be drawn in US dollars. So take note of all of these intricacies so that you don't fall victim, especially for those that are abroad. So again, my advice, arrange with someone in the US to obtain a cashier's check or money order on your behalf. The second question here says, if separate fees are required when I file multiple forms, say for example, you have Form I-140, you have Form I-907 and the likes. Together, can I pay with one check? My answer is no. You cannot use one check for multiple forms. You cannot use one check for multiple forms. Make sure the payments are separated. Make sure to provide separate payment for each form you submit. And this means individual checks or credit card authorization for each form, as earlier stated in the course of this educative video. Another question says, in general, when filing one form that includes multiple fees, are multiple payments required? So take note of this. When you are paying USCIS fees by check or money order, it's written there from USCIS source recommending that you should submit each payment separately. So don't try to combine them together. And submitting this separate payment for each form of services provides more flexibility in case there are any issues with one of the payments. And it helps them to, easily track and manage the separate payment, ensuring that each form of service is paid for correctly rather than combining all of them together. So why combine? Don't combine, pay them separately. One question again, can I use someone else's credit card? I've talked about this earlier, and again, you can use someone else's credit card. An authorization is required. Ensure the credit card holder authorize the use of the card. And this authorization, of course, is important as it's on its own indicates the cardholder's consent to the transaction. So that's why in that form, ensure the cardholder fills everything, put all the credit card information, the person's information, and eventually sign it, not sign electronically. When you do all that, you include that in your petition and let the person also ensures that the credit card can process such amounts that you want to authorize or use. So there won't be any issue. Another question here, which is again important, is can I use two credit cards as split payment for one application? So there are instances when people want to submit their application and they have different cards, credit cards they want to use. So something like that, how can you do that? So the right thing to do is to complete, if you are using two different cards, say for example, you want to pay the 715 and you don't want to use just one credit card. Say for example, you want to use one credit card to pay 500, another credit card to pay 215. That's what I'm talking about here. In that case, please complete two different forms GI-1450, one for each card, and specify the exact amount you wish to pay with each card. And that's how to do it. And of course, make sure the two amounts or the three different cards amounts sum up to the total amounts you are paying for. Okay, I think we're almost done. This next question says, can I use one credit card for three applications or requests? Yes, you can. But that means you have to submit three different forms of GI-1450, one for each request. And basically, that is it. Again, if you have questions, please drop your questions. And that will be it again. I will see you all again in another video. Please like, share, subscribe, follow, make comments on this video. My goal is to ensure that you all have achieved your American dream of green card or citizenship. And of course, you've been able to do this all by yourself without even needing, having to pay extra costful amount of money to get this thing done. However, if you need our service, feel free to reach out. Here on the screen, you see the email and our website. You can check it out to see all the services that we offer. And I will see you all again. Again, this is Prof. Dan representing the face of St. Daniel's Global LLC. Take care and bye-bye.